Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington, where you will hear from the movers, shakers, and changemakers that are moving Greater Burlington forward. Here is your host, Steven Brody.
Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington. It's my pleasure to have with us today Matt Trexel, Fire Chief for the City of Burlington. And we're going to be talking all things fire department and all the programs and services that you may not know are available to you as a benefit for the fire department here in the area. So, Chief Trexel, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good morning.
Why don't we start with just getting to know you? I've enjoyed getting to know you in the time here. And how long have you been with the fire department? And were you a fire department official before becoming chief, or did you start immediately as the chief?
Yeah, so no, I started with the Burlington Fire Department in 1997. Just prior to that, I worked 3 years as a correctional officer in Mount Pleasant at the state prison there. Mm-hmm. And I was 4 years in the Marine Corps before that. So I'd mention those because I think they play a big part of who I am and how I came to be on the fire department. So yeah. I was just looking for a job when I applied at the fire department, and luckily they gave me a shot in 1997. I had no experience, no background. I didn't go to college I thought I wanted to be a cop. So that's what I was going to school for, was criminal justice out at SCC.
Okay.
And they called me up and offered me a job, and I had to think about it just for a minute, and I didn't know anybody on the department. So, but I fell in love with it right off the bat. I loved the people I was working with and the schedule and the things that we got to do in the community. It was an awesome job. So I think it was about 8 years on. I was promoted to captain and battalion chief, and then I've been the chief since 2012.
Okay. And what is it that you think is just the real attractive part about the fire department and your role? I mean, you've been there.
My role is attractive.
You said when you started without experience in the fire department, and yet here you are 30 some years later. You're still there.
Yeah. Well, part of it is just the interaction with the community. It's generally speaking, it's 99%. It's good interactions. People thanking us. We go to a lot of terrible incidents, but we're always there to help people. And genuinely, that I think the gratitude we get from the public plays a big part, and then the people I work with.
Yeah,
and I think not that I've always worked with great people, but of course the last 11 years I've hired them all, so I kind of get to hand pick them, and we've just had so many good people on the department. I love coming to work. I work with great, super people every day.
Yeah, I know a lot of places there's concerns about turnover. How have things been over the years with staff at the fire department?
Yeah, well, we experience our fair share of turnover, and I was thinking about it the other day because we're losing 3 people just all in 1 week. They told me they were leaving for all various reasons.
Okay,
3 great. I mean, all of them super employees, But you look at why they're leaving, and it's like, generally, they're chasing a dream that they had before the fire department. One's going back to school. Mm-hmm. Their family's moving to Utah. One's just taking a job closer to home. Not necessarily that. I think they're all leaving on good terms with the Burlington Fire Department. Like, they were genuinely, not heartbroken, but they're leaving with good feelings towards the department.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about why do we have that? Part of it is I think we hire such good people. There's a lot of opportunities outside of the fire department,
Yeah. Does it go in waves, Matt, where you'll find several at one time will decide to leave, or there's one here and one there, and does it work that way?
No, it's one here, one there. Normally, that's kind of how we had a guy just leave to go sell insurance. I don't know if that was his dream job or not, but I sometimes think they see these opportunities. A couple people left last year to go on to nursing. We interact a lot with the nurses at Great River, and they see a lot of these traveling nurses that are both going into that to, get into the traveling portion where they can see the country, and they're young.
Yeah.
They can always come back to Burlington, and they know that. So,
Yeah.
it's hard to see them go, but at the same time, you're like, hey, this is kind of cool. Our new medical director, I don't know if you've seen that. His name's Jeremy Owens. He was on the fire department for a long time, and then he chased his dream to be a doctor. He's now an emergency room physician at Great River. And he's our medical director. So it's kind of cool. It's super cool for those of us that actually worked with him.
I'm fascinated going back to when you started and you said you didn't have experience, you didn't go to school to be a firefighter. That's changed. And I can just speak from personal experience with my son who's going through wanting to be a firefighter and applying for jobs. They want to see that. They want to see the education. They want to see an EMT certification. They want to see all these things. What do you think has changed over the years to now have that encouragement, that requirement to have that?
Yeah. So paramedic is fairly new to the fire service, especially to Burlington.
Yeah.
When I came on, it was just becoming a job requirement. That's probably the biggest hurdle for us to get people into that program, get them past. When I took paramedic, it was you go 2 nights a week for 4 hours for a year. Now it's 4 days a week, 8 hours a day, 2 semesters, summer semester. It's way more technically difficult.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. It's not for everybody being a paramedic.
Yeah.
We prefer that. We would love to hire people that have experience, but man, the paramedic job market, it is competitive. If you can get through a paramedic program, you're going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire you the day you graduate.
Yeah.
Most of the paramedic programs are full of already employed EMTs. So we do a lot of that. We hire EMTs. We pay for them to go to paramedic school. Lee County, a lot of the ambulance services, they do the same thing just because there are not paramedics out there looking for jobs. They all have jobs.
Right.
And so we have, the last, 10 years, we've hired a lot of people that aren't paramedics and put them through school.
Right.
But if you have it, man, you're golden. If you want to get on Burlington Fire Department, that's not a guarantee. I mean, we're still looking for people that match our values. That overshadows everything else, I would say. We look at past work history and that type of thing. And, just because you're a paramedic doesn't mean you just walk in the door.
Yeah.
Well, fun question. I know there's not such a thing as a typical day at the fire department, but on average, what type of calls are you getting? I mean, you're obviously not always getting fires.
Right.
So for the most part, for here, what's the breakdown of the calls that tend to come in?
So on an average day, I think we're around 17 or 18 calls on average.
Yeah.
14 or 15 of those will be EMS, will be ambulance calls. And then we'll have a mix of fire alarms, automatic fire alarms a lot. We get a lot of those.
Yeah.
Smoke detector calls, smoke alarms going off in homes. The actual structure fires, pulling up, hooking to a hydrant, pulling a line off, going and putting a fire out. Those are much more rare. Now, this month, we've had 2 of those. 2 Sundays in a row, we had structure fires.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, there's about 50 of those a year.
Yeah. And the equipment that you have, fairly current?
Yeah, the city's been awesome about buying us equipment. Yeah, our frontline engines are fairly new. Our ambulances, they're newer, and we've went to a Ford 4-wheel drive pickup, which has been great.
Yeah.
The problem right now is getting them. We're in this process where we buy a new one, and then the next year or 2 years later we remount we take the box off the ambulance and put it on a chassis, a new chassis with the same company. Lifeline Ambulance are in Sumner, Iowa. They're a great company. But now we've just been told the other day we're about 2 years out. So we can order that today. We won't see anything happen for 2 years if they get a chassis.
Is there such a thing as a typical lifespan that you hope to have for a vehicle?
Yeah. So the ambulances, we're hoping, you buy it new. You run it up to about 200,000. You get a remount, so you get a brand new chassis.
Okay.
And then, when that cycles through, we have 6 ambulances. By the time you run that whole cycle through, so a new one, a remount for 5 more ambulances, and that one will go out of service. So it's somewhere around 15 years.
Yeah. I don't know if folks would find this to be a surprise, but your geography is not limited to just Burlington.
Yeah.
You will go out beyond there.
And I get that all the time. I'll have people tell me the West Burlington ambulance or somebody else, because they're in the county or they're in Henderson County, think that it's another department. I said, no, if it's a paramedic ALS ambulance for generally around here, it's Burlington. So we cover all of Henderson County for that. Of course, the city of Burlington, the city of West Burlington, the 4 townships that surround Burlington, Danville Township, Pleasant Grove Township. I think that's it. So,
and then again, across the river into Illinois, how far will you go?
The entirety of Henderson County, we cover for paramedic level service. So they have emergency medical dispatching over there. So if the call requires a paramedic response, then they page us right away. Otherwise, the service is over there. They can choose if they think the patient needs a paramedic.
Yeah.
They'll call us. And then we also meet with like La Harpe ambulance, which is the next county south. I don't know. Or Dallas City has an ambulance. So we'll tier with those guys on the side of the road if they need a paramedic.
I have to say, Chief, I really appreciated you being part of the phone calls that we had with congressional representatives when we were talking about the future of Highway 34 and the likelihood of it becoming a 4-lane. And you shared the importance and the necessity of it being a 2-lane versus a 4-lane. Could you share that, please?
Yeah. So I bet you could go down to the station right now and ask pretty much anybody on our staff, where are the worst car wrecks that you've been to? They're going to say Highway 34 in Henderson County. That 2-lane portion past the Airco gas station?
Yeah.
All the way to where it turns into 4-lane. We've had so many bad accidents over there, and that affects both our ambulance and our fire trucks. We, generally speaking, if there's a bad accident, they'll request mutual aid for an engine crew. So we've used our extrication tools more in Henderson County probably than Des Moines County. We just had a lot of bad wrecks on that road. Yeah. It's improved a little bit since they did they added a little bit on the shoulders, a little bit of paving, but still not good. It's a main arterial or whatever, it's a main road, 34. And,
absolutely.
There's just a lot of traffic on that road.
Yeah, lots of traffic.
Yes.
By all means. Well, the good news is, again, it is in the 5-year plan with Illinois Department of Transportation to finally have it happen. We just have to continue to remind them how important it is to have that made into a 4-lane.
Right.
Because even though there's money in it right now,
I know how that is.
You never know. It might not. I also want to say I really appreciated the fact that you, in terms of the community things that the fire department does, like, for example, I was a part of the Burlington City Academy, and so one of those sessions was a tour and a visit of the fire department. I know that you have your own fire citizens academy as well, and then I know our leadership class that we do. I believe there will be time spent there.
Right.
So for anybody who might be interested in wanting to learn a little bit more, what if they do the Citizens Academy for fire, what are they going to get?
So we see. Really, the first day is kind of an admin. We get to know them. We give a little history of the fire department, give them a tour of Central Station. That's probably the boringest day for the academy. They get to listen to me and the deputy chief and the fire marshal, and that. But after that, we gear it towards hands-on. It's all whatever we do. We try to let them do extrication with the jaws of life and the cutters and cut cars apart. They do a little bit of rappelling. They climb ladders. They actually get to drive the fire apparatus, which I think
really
is super cool. And nothing but smiles when you see them driving a fire truck. We take them out to the recplex.
Yeah,
that's where we do our training.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
To the recplex.
Yeah, we have a cone course that's out there. If you ever drive out there and there's no cars, you'll see like some orange dots here and there. That's where we put our cones. But
yeah,
it's just a really good parking lot for that. They love that. They get to do some EMS. We bring in MedForce one night that flies in. They get to check out the helicopter.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Yeah. So it's not sitting in a classroom watching PowerPoints.
Yeah.
Very, very little of that the first day. Other than that, it's just getting. And what I really like about it is that it's me the first day. They don't see me again until they graduate at the council meeting.
Yeah.
It's captains, it's lieutenants, it's battalion chiefs, it's firefighters doing all the training that are all volunteers.
Yeah.
There's some people that really like ropes. So that guy volunteers to do the rappelling part. There's a guy that really loves our ladder truck.
Yeah.
He comes in and shows them all about the ladder truck. Same with the extrication. So it's cool. They get to meet the best of the best on Burlington Fire Department.
Yeah.
And I've never had anybody regret coming to that class. They love that. So as a matter of fact, some of them have been through twice.
Do they get to slide down the pole?
You know what? I don't think we've ever let them do that. I don't know. I would think that would be a nice graduation present, maybe. So if they brought that up, I think we could accommodate that.
Now, the other thing that I have heard, and again, I think it was said humorously, is that the Burlington Fire Department is the oldest fire department in Iowa or west of the Mississippi. What is
definitely the oldest in Iowa. I've been saying that, and no one has disputed me.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose being down here, the easternmost town, close to the southernmost, no one's ever claimed to be earlier. We're 1841.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure we have that locked up.
That's a great distinction to have.
Yeah, we try to broadcast that a lot. A lot of our gear has established in 1841 on it. So,
well, the other thing too, speaking of history, that I don't know if everybody knows about is the museum that you have there at the downtown station. You know, talk about that for a moment. It's really cool going in there and seeing what you've got.
Yeah. So in 2002, we remodeled Central Station, which was built in 1907. So it's an old fire station, but we added on the north side a great big apparatus floor. So we moved most of our vehicles over there, which opened up a little space for a museum. So it's got the original hose tower doors for the entrance. And then inside there, just a lot of relics of the Burlington Fire Department, a lot of history, pictures of our biggest, events, fires.
Yeah.
For a long while there, it was kind of oversaw by, they called themselves the Romeo Club, retired old men eating out. But it was...
Is that really?
It was 4 retired, battalion chiefs and Bill L., the fire chief. They would, decorate it for Christmas. They would kind of organize the exhibits or swap them out now and then. We have a lot of stuff that doesn't all fit in there for display at one time. So we do move stuff in and out of there. But we've used it for a lot of, every time we have an open house or station tour, we take people through there. We've used it for a couple of funerals, retired firefighters that have passed away. We use that during their funerals. It's just been a really... you have other firefighters stop in to say hi, which is what firefighters do. And they're always like, wow, this is super cool. They love that museum. And I love the museum.
Can anybody just stop in or do you have to let you know in advance?
People stop in all the time. Yeah, they can stop in. If it's a bigger tour, we would like to be notified. But a lot of times people are visiting Burlington with their family and they just drop in. It's no problem.
One of the things that I thought was really impressive too was your notification system. And I don't know if that's the best way to refer to it as, but when I was there for the City Academy and we were sitting in that conference room, talk about that because you got the big computer screen up there, and then depending on what the call is, it's
when dispatch is something that they do at dispatch cues that up onto that system, and sometimes even while they're still on the phone, we'll get the screen will change. It'll bring up what the call is, what the address is. It gives you a Google Street View if there is one.
It's impressive
of the property. 'Cause sometimes you can't find the numbers or whatever the address numbers. If you know what the house looks like, that really can help.
Yeah,
and then it'll give you a little navigation to where you're going.
Okay,
and then of course a lot of times we have multiple calls going. So eventually it'll go to a screen. It'll just list all the active calls. Any call that somebody's still assigned to will be on there. It also does a countdown timer. So, we're all about getting there quick. So we're, making ourselves look at that and go, wow, it's a 60-second timer for EMS and 70 seconds for fire.
And it's color coded too, right? Is it like depending on the call?
Yeah. So the lights come on at the same time. Yeah. So blue lights are for EMS, red lights are for fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I was very, very impressed with that.
Yeah.
By all means. So okay, silly question. I love to come up with these. So when you're in the fire truck and you're going to the station, how do you know where you're going? Is there such a thing as Google Maps in the fire truck? Or?
Yeah, so all the first out rigs all have an iPad.
Okay.
And it has that same program that you see on that screen in the station on the iPad. So you can just Google it. There's a choice. You can hit navigate, and it'll do the turn by turn. We really try not to rely on that because sometimes Google won't take you the fastest way.
Yeah.
It might take you the shortest way, which in Burlington, that could take you through a residential neighborhood,
Sure.
a lot of stop signs and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
we really just wanted to kind of know the general area. We require everybody to learn the streets of Burlington very well.
I would think so.
The county, you have a little more time to look at a map sometimes, and sometimes the addresses are, not as intuitive as in Burlington.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, they get around very well.
In November, there was a referendum, and the citizens voted to pass the referendum for a third fire station. I know that was something you lobbied for. I know that that's something that's been top of mind for quite some time in terms of public safety. It's going to take some time. I mean, that obviously that was the first step.
Right.
But what happens now? Now that the referendum is passed, what is going to be the benefit to eventually having that third station in Burlington?
Yeah. So really what got that third station off the ground was we did strategic planning back in 2018, 2019. And there's a lot of things identified with, we had that crew out in off the 3400 Mount Pleasant Street, ambulance only station going at that time. And part of the plan was, we need a better station for those, but we also need somewhere to train. That was like a lot of our goals and objectives had to do with training. And we just don't really have a good place for fire training. We just do it on the street or send people away to that kind of stuff. So that's for the internal guys, the people, the firefighters, that's really their big thing. They love getting places quick, right? That's what we do. But the training aspect, they're really looking forward to that. So in that station, hopefully we've been talking at 2300 North Roosevelt Avenue.
Yeah.
That'll give us a great response times, which is number one. That's the overriding factor for, why we need the station, where we need the station.
And that's 4 minutes, right?
All about location, 4 minutes. Yeah. So 4 minutes is the standard for EMS and for fire.
Yeah.
The response. You need a 4-minute drive time.
And you've been pretty well near there anyway, but this would pretty much help solidify that to get to all parts of the
we're kind of on the fringe of Burlington. We're right on the edge, which you want to pull it back inside the city limits a little more. So So and also to put a training tower, you need a little bit of space, and that's been a big empty lot forever. It's not ever had a building on it.
Yeah. I know that there's going to be also some road work done by the airport, Sumner Street. So I would imagine that should be a benefit to the station down there as well, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're actually doing some cement work at the fire station as part of that project.
I was going to say, did that involve the fire station at all in those plans?
Yeah. So we've had money in the budget for it's been out in our 5-year plan to do some concrete work at Station 2. If you go around the back, it's really bad. That station was opened in 1997. So, when we drive a lot of heavy trucks on it, it's kind of surprising that it's not as cracked up as it is. But anyway, we do, that's kind of where we do our training now, is behind that station for the most part.
So that station opened the same time that you started?
The month after I started.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. I don't think that everybody realizes some of the other programs and services that the fire department provides. And so a couple of things, and all they have to do is basically go to the city website and they can see everything that you've got. But if you want to talk about briefly, you've got the smoke detector home installation program, there's fire prevention education, and there's public CPR classes that you provide.
Yeah. So the CPR, it's just on a road every the second Saturday of every month, we have that on the calendar, so people can just sign up for that.
Excellent.
But we do more than that. If you have a group of people that need CPR, we'll set up special classes for that. And that's been ongoing for quite a while. That's all instructed by fire department members.
Yeah. And is that something that you have to sign up far in advance to do that?
Yeah, if it, at least a day or two. If nobody signs up.
A day or two? Oh, that's not bad.
If nobody signed up, then there won't be an instructor there. So, yeah, not everybody. We have certified instructors, so we have to make sure the right people are there for the class.
Yeah. And then what falls under the fire prevention education? What falls under that bucket?
It depends on what your audience is or what people are wanting. Sometimes we just went out to Autumn Heights not too long ago. We talked about, what are you supposed to do during a fire alarm? You're supposed to get on the elevator? No, you go over to the stairwells and you use the stairwells to go down and go outside. And so that's kind of an exit drill training. Or we'll talk about cooking, with those people. If we go to a school, it'll be all about exit drills and smoke alarms and stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different audiences. We met with the Southeast Iowa Property Owners Group one time, did some training with them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different topics there.
And then talk about the smoke detector home installation program. Do you get a lot of calls on that?
We get a lot. Matter of fact, one of our guys was just talking to the Red Cross the other day, and they're like, "You're by far the best at putting in smoke alarms in Southeast Iowa. They provide all the smoke alarms as long as we do the paperwork. So they give you the alarms. We have to document where they were put in. We have to have the people sign the paperwork, and then they just keep supplying more smoke alarms. So it's became a self-sustaining program. At first, we got the alarms from the state on a grant.
Yeah.
And then we started asking the local community. It's always been free to the people getting the alarms. But the Elks across the street from us, they were doing some fundraising. They had some grants. Every once in a while, you'll put alarms in, and people are like, "Well, I want to do something." We're like, "Well, you can just donate to the fire prevention program, which we use to buy smoke alarms."
Okay.
Or the CO alarm. So we do smoke and CO.
That was going to be my follow-up question. If you have those as well.
Yeah, we have those. Those don't come from the Red Cross. So we use the fire prevention fund, which is all donated money from the Elks or from people that just want to give money to something. We steer them towards that program. So
and are the CO2 ones free also?
They're free also, yeah.
See, that's wonderful. Do you get many takers on those?
We get a lot of takers on those.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times we're there for the smoke alarms, and we're like, you need a CO alarm too, so we'll put one of those in while we're there.
And can folks just come and pick them up, or do you have to go to the house and install them?
Yeah, we have to install them. So that's part of the Red Cross's requirements.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. You also, I have to say, do a very good job at supporting your crew in the stations in terms of promotion, in terms of advertising. I love seeing all that stuff that you see on social media and in the newspaper about accomplishments that is happening there at the fire department. I don't know if that comes from you or comes from someone else there at the station, but that seems to be something that's very important.
Yeah. So like I said, we try to hire the best quality people that we can. A lot of them, they've been go-getters before we hired them, and they continue on that. And we like to recognize their effort. There are places where it's easy to walk in the door, and I'm trying to think of what they said. You can be there's three things. One of them is be a recliner. You can choose to be the person that sits in a recliner all day and doesn't want to do any extra. That's not the people that we hire at BFD, and we just have a lot of people that it takes very little encouragement. Maybe you want to pick up the cost of a school. Okay, I'm off. I'll go to school. So you see a lot of people, going to outside classes, pursuing their, associate's degree, bachelor's degrees, whatever.
Yeah. What type of experience do you need to have to operate the boat? Because I know that you got a boat and that you'll do river rescue. Mm-hmm. So what type of training is necessary to be in that role?
Yeah. Well, we do all that in-house.
Okay.
Originally we did like the Coast Guard training, but we do have a few people I'd call river rats. They're very familiar with the river, which is 99% of where that boat goes. I think we took it to the ammunition plant one time and put it in their lake. Other than that, it's always the river, and we always use the boat ramps here downtown. So we do quite a bit of training, backing the boat up. That's probably the biggest we're not used to backing things, all of us. So that's part of the training. But it's really, it's a hands-on, get out on the river, do some things when it's not an emergency. Mm-hmm. So we started that river patrol. Well, I didn't start it. One of the firefighters came up with it 2 summers ago and said, hey, how about we just go out there and do some preventative, patrolling. So they're out there meeting with people, giving them sunscreen, water. They have some stuff for the kids. They also mapped out like all the cabins along the river and kind of get an idea of, if you get called to some of these cabins, where are they? How do you find them? They're not all mapped out super well. But there's a lot of people in a lot of cabins, a lot of what we would call risk on that river, and especially in the summertime. So try to get out there and learn it as best we can.
We're just about out of time, Chief. Is there anything that you'd like to share that folks need to know about the fire department that maybe they don't know, or maybe it's important for you to remind them about anything in particular?
Yeah, I think we've kind of hit on them. One would be the ambulance service. I think a lot of people don't realize that we do. That is the big part of what we do, is provide ambulance service for a big part of our community. Yeah, and I can't really think of anything else that I.
Sure. You do a lot. You definitely do a lot. A lot of the services are, again, available on the website. You can check that out. You got 2 stations right now. There's going to be a 3rd coming in due order. So thankful for that. But again, thank you for your service and the time that you have been here in the community and everybody involved at the fire station. We really appreciate all that you do for us.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our guest has been Fire Chief Matt Trexel. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen, and give us a call at the Greater Burlington Partnership if you have an idea on who you would like to hear on a future episode. Until then, thanks again, and we'll see you on All Things Greater Burlington.
Have been listening to All Things Greater Burlington with Steven Brody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to catch all new episodes. To learn more about All Things Greater Burlington, visit greaterburlington.com/ATGB.